I hooked up some more cameras, and I mean, I've been doing a lot of crap like that.
It's funny because we're live now. I just didn't tell you.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. We should. Yeah, we should. Hey, that's one way to start the show.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't say what I was going to say.
How's everybody doing? Welcome to episode 109 of Mirrorless Minutes. On this week's show, Mike and I are talking about home automation.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we were talking about.
We probably should.
Yeah. Maybe we'll start another podcast. Yeah. So tonight's show, little interesting because we finally get to talk about where Mike and I are going to do a workshop together. I know we've been spending a lot of time talking about where we are doing workshops, not with one another, but with other people. But tonight we'll talk about where we're doing our workshop in 2019. And of course, we're going to do some image share and a little, like we've said in the past couple of episodes, we're trying to talk a little bit more about, instead of just the typical banter, we want to make, you want to get something from this, right? You've got 30 minutes of your time that you're spending listening to us. And I suppose our quick wit only goes so far. So maybe we'll start giving back a little bit and, inspirational ideas, technical tips, things like that. And we're going to do a little bit of that tonight as well. So with that being said, I think we should probably let's lead off and just talk about where Mike and Jamie are going to wind up in 2019.
Yeah, we probably should do that. I mean, so we had that vote. I'm trying to remember the 5 cities. I know it was Seattle, Las Vegas, Philly, Pittsburgh. What was the
I think I mentioned San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. There may have been some vote tampering. I don't know. I can't. There won't be any investigation. I guarantee you.
No hanging chads being.
No, but it looks like we do have a winner by popular demand, and that was the whole idea.
Right.
So I'll let you reveal it. We need like a drum roll.
Yeah, Bob Panic in the chat room is actually drum rolling.
Oh, okay.
Or rolling his eyes, one of the two, because I think everybody knows that it was Pittsburgh that won out on this. If you followed the conversation online on the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page, you would quickly see that there was a lot of chanting for Pittsburgh. So it looks like we're going back to Pennsylvania, not in Philadelphia this time, but
the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this will be a first visit to Pittsburgh for me. Now, I know quite a few people who've spent a decent amount of time in Pittsburgh, and I've seen a lot of their photos, and then have done research as I was watching the votes tally up to Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a really cool city to shoot in, actually, and it's fun because before this, I probably wouldn't have put Pittsburgh on my list of places to go, like shoot and run a workshop.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be cool.
I think it's going to be pretty special, and the time of the year we're because we have a lot going on this year. We already have our own other workshops going. We've got yours in May, yours and Mark's. Then myself and Megan have our New York one, June 1st and 2nd. You've got that crazy kid of yours graduating. It's probably going to take up a few minutes of your time, with parties and everything else. So we're going to make sure all that stuff's out of our hair. So we plan it right. And I think we're looking September-ish. I mean, maybe it hits October. I don't know. I think more September it could be. I know it was open and it looked good. And I think that could be a great time of the year. The weather shouldn't be too cold, too hot.
It'll be probably ideal for sure.
Yeah, and also good for night shooting where it won't be so freezing cold either.
Right.
The bridges in that city. I've been there a lot. It's been a lot more for work than it has been for shooting. But one of the things like we talked about, if we find a moment, we go scout ourselves because we could drive there pretty easily. Yeah. I mean, it's not that far.
And that's probably what's going to happen. I think at some point there'll be a pre-workshop, reconnaissance mission, swoop in under the dark of night and scout this place out. But it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, from what I've seen online, just in doing quick research, I think that we've got a lot of opportunity to do more than just, a street shooting type of workshop. There's cool architecture, the bridges, and there's some high vantage points just outside of the main city that looks like you can kind of get some great views as well. So I'm looking forward to this. It'll be a lot of fun.
And I would say to all those people that voted, you better all be sending us at least one different place to go so we can check it out, right?
Yeah,
your responsibility is this now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know there's some other cool ones. We've seen these, whatever that was, that abandoned train, or
yes.
I mean, there's a few things that look pretty neat there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys, for anybody new to this program, and you're just not wondering, you're not sure what in the heck we're talking about. So, Mike and I do workshops every year. This one was put to a vote by the listeners. Pittsburgh's the location. And if you want to be involved in that, as far as being a participant and going on this adventure with us, swing over to meetup.com/mirrorless adventures and just become a member over there. It doesn't cost anything to be a member. Once you're registered over there and a part of our meetup group, you'll be notified of when this workshop comes online and is available to register for, as well as the other ones that we're doing too. So I'd like to see people swing over there and sign up if they haven't already.
Yeah, every show I know we talk about it and we get a few extra people, but we really do. I think we're up 650 or something like that. But the more people we get into it, I think the better options are for us to do workshops in different areas, because like Jamie said too, I'm traveling a lot. I want to try next year to make, maybe if I'm out for 4 nights, like in Austin or I'm somewhere for work, I want to do one of those nights. I want to try just to do a meetup with people in that area. I know I've done it a couple of times with Alex in Arizona. It's been pretty easy, but I'd like to do it just, hey, and those kind of things will be free. Just let's get together. And if you're in that area, I know we've got a lot of listeners, so that'll be great. So join up. You never know what's coming next.
Exactly. Hey, Steve Wilking in the chat room says he'd see some Arizona. Buddy, Utah's not too far.
Yeah. There you go.
That is an option. I'm just going to throw that out there. A little plug for the Moab workshop. So I guess we could kind of, before we get into the image share and talking about, working on images and things like that, you had a little bit of news about Insta360.
Yeah, Insta360. I'm going to quick hit a share just to show what it is real quick. It's got a great deal going on. Actually, now it goes all the way to the 31st of the month. You see the little thing up? Is it up there? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so they're doing a winter box deal. So you get the Insta360 which is the 1X amazing new camera, the selfie stick, an extra battery. And it's just really a winter bundle. So if you're a skier, you wear a helmet or whatever, you got a thing for your helmet, another thing for your chest to wear as far as a strap and all that for a great price. We'll put the link in the show notes, but they're also giving away some of these 1Xs. So, join into their thing online, use that link, and, I appreciate it. And I will, all transparency, that is an affiliate link, costs you no more. But it does help us and believe me, there's money that we need to pay, Meetup and all these hosting sites and all the other stuff. So it'd be great if you'd use our links. And I know Jamie talks about it, and so do I whenever we can. But check it out. Check it out. So do you want to, where do you want to go next? I'm looking at, get out of that.
So I just posted that link also in the chat window. So
okay, cool.
Curious. I wouldn't mind jumping into the image share. Talking about that. I'm pretty to talk about an image that I made recently. It was kind of fun to do. So, you want me to start off, or do you want to roll?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, cool. Let me open up the toolbox here and do this. All right, here we go. So here in Michigan, we've been pretty blessed the last couple of years to get snowy owls that keep returning to the area. And there's this one area on the west side of the state where they return to repeatedly. So just on a whim, I decided to run out there. This was 2 weeks ago, and wanted to go see if I could capture the snowy owls there, and asked my wife if she wanted to go along for a ride because she thinks they're incredible, which they are pretty incredible. And she said she didn't want to. She was out of town with her sister shopping, the holiday stuff. And so I get about 10 minutes outside of town, and she calls and says, "You haven't left yet, have you? I think I want to go." I said, "Nope, honey, it's fine. I'll turn around." So came back and got her. But went up there, and it's funny because I was speaking with somebody who watches the show, another Michigan resident, Brian Essler, and he went up the following weekend and said that the owls, he couldn't find them. He thought they might have left. And I said, well, they don't really ever leave once they get here in the wintertime. You just have to search them out. But the reason I wanted to share this was twofold. Number one is that shooting birds like this, I'm so particular about how this works out. A lot of people, because these birds, they come from the Arctic, they're not around people. They don't understand that you're probably not the best thing for them. So they don't really tend to be too afraid of you. You could actually get really close to them. And last year when photographing them here, I seen a lot of photographers that were probably within like 15 or 20 feet of them. It's a little too close. I don't think you want them getting acclimated to people quite like that, because it can lead to problems down the road. And also people like to bait them and get them to fly in and grab mice that they might buy at a pet store, feeder mice and things like that, which aren't healthy for them to be eating. So just kind of want to throw out like this public service announcement when photographing wildlife, just keep your distance. And that's what I was doing here with the 300 millimeter f4 Pro with the MC14 teleconverter. So that's a long lens. That's a lot of reach. And I'm still cropped in on this quite a bit. I'm cropped in probably almost to the, I'm going to say almost 100% crop on this. I mean, there's really not much left of this image when it's all said and done. I'm cropped in so far. And the image stabilization on this combo with the EM1 Mark II is just astounding. So, you know, like I said, keep your distance from wildlife, please, and just use the appropriate equipment for it. Sometimes that means you have to just keep returning over and over again in order to get that shot. And, you know, I went there completely prepared, you know, and knowing that I might walk away with no photos because, you know, an opportunity wouldn't present itself where I could do one from a distance, you know, safely. So, you know, that's me, you know, throwing my, my feel good thing out there about, you know, being kind to the wildlife when you're out shooting. So again, that's the EM1 Mark II with the 300 millimeter f4 and the teleconverter attached. And also, so when I'm shooting things like this, these guys are pretty stationary, so I don't have to worry too much about, you know, putting on continuous autofocus tracking and things like that. So for a shot like this, I was in aperture priority because my shutter speed was fast enough to where I didn't have to worry about any kind of motion blur from me, you know, because of the image stabilization and the shutter speed being fast enough. So it wasn't a problem. Excuse me. Just wanted to throw that out there as far as like a settings thing are concerned. So it's probably, I think I'm at like f5.6, which is what you're going to be with the teleconverter on that lens. And then on auto ISO, just because, excuse me, being, you know, on auto ISO, just because the light was good enough, I knew that it wasn't going to change too much. And I knew that if I had to, you know, adapt to the situation, you know, quickly by flipping over into like shutter priority or something like that, I always tend to keep it in auto ISO on both of those modes, aperture and shutter, when I'm out shooting wildlife, just so I don't, it's one less thing for me to worry about if I let the camera do it. The next one is, of course, you know, it's the barn. I mean, and the reason I'm bringing up a shot of the barn is because I had the opportunity to meet a local photographer here in the town I live in, which is crazy because my town is so tiny that there are so many photographers in this town. And I met up with this local photographer and we got talking, and she had seen pictures of the barn that I shoot all the time. And she was just dying to go out shooting. She said she can never find a photographer that just wants to go shoot. And she also thinks that it's tough for her because there are not a lot of women photographers that she knows. It seems like most of the women that she knows that shoot tend to be, you know, into portraits and families and weddings and things like that, and not landscape. So she's pretty pumped to find somebody like me that literally lives 2 streets over from her, who is gung-ho to go out shooting landscapes, you know, pretty much on zero notice. So she messaged me on Facebook the other weekend and said, hey, I want to go out shooting. It looks like the sky's got some color in it. Do you want to go? I said, yeah, I'll be over. I'll drive. So I went over and picked her up and then took her out to the barn. And the reason I'm talking about this in particular is the fact that I want to also kind of do my little public service announcement. There's a lot of press lately about not giving away or not geotagging your locations in like national parks, because there's so much traffic because of like the Instagram, you know, I don't want to call it a fad, but just the growth of photography because of things like Instagram and people flocking to places and doing damage. But if you've got places like this, you know, that aren't necessarily like something that's prone to damage because of, you know, tons of people showing up or things like that, you know, don't hoard your places. I mean, I guess that's the moral of what I'm trying to get at here is if you find a cool location, you know, share it, take people, let them see it. It's funny because I've been asked dozens of times, quite literally dozens of times, you know, man, it'd be kind of cool to shoot that barn, but I know you probably don't want to share where it is. And the first thing I do is I paste in the Google Maps coordinates of it. And I'm like, no, right there it is. Go shoot it. You know, I'd love to see what somebody else has to offer from that location, you know, somebody else's perspective on it. So, you know, don't be that guy or that girl, you know, that hoards a cool location. I mean, just kind of share it unless there's an endangered species there or some, you know, rare wildlife or something, you know, that's pretty sacred that you're afraid might get damaged, you know, I can understand those situations, but in all other cases, if you find a cool spot, share it. I mean, heck, every time somebody comes out here and shoots it that's not me, it's another opportunity for me to see it in a different way. So I just kind of wanted to pop that out there to share. I mean, we all grow when other people get to experience the things you do. So the next one is kind of like a 3-parter here. So that same weekend, the very next day, that's exactly right, Timothy. Respect where you're at. You know, leave everything exactly how you found it. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Just do no damage. You know, the only thing you should take away from a location is a photo. So the next one is, this is what happens when you're bored and you have to go out and shoot because you're just dying to go out and shoot. So, it was a not overcast day, which is great to have in Michigan in December because we tend to get some gloomy days. So I decided to just go driving and just driving around. There's really nothing compelling to shoot. Everything's dead. I was just in a funk and I'm trying to think, man, you know, what can I shoot that's going to be interesting? And I did my usual routine where I just started turning down random roads. And then I come down this big, long, empty road. And I thought, man, this would be kind of a cool spot to just get, you know, the whole lonely road look going. And so I set up my shot and I slid my Nisi filters in to just kind of tone down the sky a little bit. And what you don't see in this first shot here is just how dark it looked on the viewfinder. The sky originally looked almost black at the top. So I ended up taking one of the filters out because it was so dark. But before I took it out, I thought, man, that's it almost looks like nighttime on the back of the camera. And it just got the wheels kind of turning. Like, what can I do to kind of change this whole thing up a little bit? And then I started thinking, man, the multiple exposure. A friend of ours, Jeffrey McFeeters, had been sharing double exposure photos on Facebook, and it just clicked in my head. You know, I've got this killer shot of the moon that I shot not too long ago. And so little pro tip here. You know, if you have an image, you can drop it onto your SD card and just let that sucker sit there. And then you can use that in your multiple exposure in camera whenever you want. So I had the raw file. This was shot with the EM1 Mark II and the 300 millimeter with the teleconverter on, and then the 2X digital teleconverter. So this was that shot, and it was saved on that SD card. So what I ended up doing is a multiple exposure in camera to get this. Now you see some effects around the edges, you know, that look like, you know, like an old photo with dust specks and things like that. You know, obviously I did that in post using, I used analog effects from Nick software to get that old, you know, tintype, or I don't know what it is, just an old look to it. But the multiple exposure aspect of this was done in the camera itself. So it just kind of shows you that just get a little bit outside of the box, look at the scene that you're in just a little bit differently, and then start thinking about how to utilize some of the tools that are in your camera. I'll tell you what, I totally forgot about multiple exposure. I haven't used that in probably 2 years. And then Jeffrey McFeeters, I think that it was Jeffrey that was sharing all these photos on Facebook, just totally just kicked it into high gear for me. I started thinking, man, you know what? I think I should do that. And that's kind of, you know, some of the motivation behind this this image here was just to do something fun and creative, not straight out of the camera, because that's really not how I roll anyways. And this last shot, this again is the whole get outside of your comfort zone. And I am 100% not a sports guy. I'm so much not a sports guy that I literally refer to everything as like sports ball, because to me, it's just move the thing to the other thing, and then everybody gets excited because you did it. Sorry, sports people. I know you probably think I'm a jerk for saying that, but anyways, my nephew though, he's the one with the ball here. He reached out to me and said, "Uncle Jamie, do you think you could come take pictures at one of my basketball games?" And I thought, man, yeah, of course I can. And it really helped that he actually came to my hometown to play too. So that was really cool. So I got to play a little bit with shooting some indoor basketball. He's in 7th grade, so this isn't probably as dramatic as high school or college or NBA, of course. But it was really fun to put myself to the test and put my equipment to the test and see if I could figure out how to get the most out of my gear and how to, to just figure this all out. So this shot right here was taken with the 45 millimeter f1.2. Yes, I was shooting primes for most of this basketball game, but it was like being in a dungeon. That gym there was horrible. It was so dark. So I'm shooting wide open at f1.2. I'm at ISO 10,000 in this shot, but the shutter speed was pretty darn fast at f1.2 and ISO 10,000, regardless of how dark it was. I think that the shutter speed on this one was probably 1/2000th of a second. So pretty much fast.
Yeah. I had to interrupt. I was going to say, did you try to sell him some lights while you were there?
We'll probably be talking about it. So for those who don't know, I work for a lighting company, and we've been doing a lot of gymnasium lighting for schools. And if our lights had been in there, I probably could have been stopped down to probably 2.8, or 3.5 or something like that, and gotten shots like this. But or lowered my ISO would have been probably the better way to go. But this is ISO 10,000, people. And I tell you what, not bad, not bad at all. My settings for this, again, I started off in shutter priority, and I set it at 1/800th of a second and found that I was still getting a little bit of blur. These little kids are fast. So 1/800th of a second for some of this gave me some too much blur in the arms for me, for what I was comfortable with. So what I ended up doing is rolling back into aperture priority and just widening my lens all the way open, and then manually setting my my ISO to where my exposures were I wanted them, which generally put me in the ISO 10,000 range, sometimes 12,000, depending on what end of the court we were at, because the lighting was just really that awful there. Generally shot with the 45 millimeter 1.2, the 17 millimeter 1.2, the 75 1.8, and the 40 to 150. Now I know that's a lot of lenses, but I did have 2 camera bodies with me, and I just wanted to kind of change things up to see what was going to be most effective and what gave me the best look. So mid-court, I was probably shooting mostly with the 75 1.8. I was getting really great shots of them traveling down court. And then as they got closer, I was far enough back from the net to be able to be using the 45 and get a shot like this. A lot of fun. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, there's some grain in it, but I would have no problem printing this out. And he's pretty pumped when he saw all these photos. So just get out there and push yourself to the limit, do things you didn't know you could do, push your camera equipment to the limits, and just experiment, just take all different kinds of shots and just whip through your settings and just figure it out. I mean, that's kind of what this was for me, a lot of learning.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to see that you got some shots. I mean, it's definitely, basketball is fun. I mean, and that's where I really cut a lot of my teeth on it, and then shooting sports for colleges, and it's just a blast when you get a lit gym and you can shoot it, down to 2.8, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And really you're shooting at, you get down to 500th of a second. It looks great. It's not too blurry, but yeah, and those dingy gyms, they're just horrible. And if they have that cast, sometimes they got that horrible cast, and that one doesn't look like it too much, but like a red or a yellow cast, they're just horrible.
I would have loved to have been able to shoot with the 2 bodies, one with the 12 to 40, and then the other one with the 40 to 150, and that would have been killer. I would have loved to be able to just do those 2. Yeah, but I really needed the 1.2 primes were just insane in there. I mean, so at 1.2, I mean, this kid that's in the back, that was in the background of the shots, I mean, they were pretty nice and soft. I mean, it's almost like you're doing portrait work.
Yeah.
Portrait work.
Yeah.
And
while they're flying in the air.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And I know I'm excited. I've got some stuff coming up over Christmas. My son coaches high school, and we've got another college game to look at. But it's always fun and a challenge. Definitely a challenge. I love shooting with those primes, though. I did that last year a whole bunch, and I know we talked before your game, but
yeah,
I thought that was so much fun. I really never had done that.
You talked about taking the fisheye or the 715, and I'll tell you what, I didn't, only because my comfort level, not knowing where I'm allowed to be and not allowed to be. I didn't want to, tick anybody.
I can understand that. Yeah.
But I mean, I looked like I knew what the hell I was doing out there. I mean, I had 2 camera bodies.
You got 2 camera bodies.
They're probably like, oh, hey, who's he scouting for? Like,
that's right. This guy must be from USA Today.
That's Kelly.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, here I'm gonna show something first. As you were talking about Jeffrey McFeeters, I said, "Oh God, I got to go grab one of those shots."
Yeah.
So I want to show one because I love your shot. Yours looks like you're looking at the Death Star, man.
Somebody asked me that too.
It really does. It's like, oh my gosh, where's Vader? But let's see. Let me get here. I'll show. Where is he here? So this is not my shot.
Yeah,
this is McFeeter's shot. It's small. I just grabbed it real quick, but what a great shot!
Insane.
Yeah, I saw this and went, oh gosh, I've done that, and I love doing double exposure. But I challenge people. I say go for that double exposure in the city. I mean, everywhere. It doesn't always have to just be nature. I mean, you could do crazy things in the city.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, pulling up graffiti stuff and putting it behind people that are walking. And yeah, there's a lot of fun that you can definitely do. So, okay. So that's Jeff shot. Great job. If you don't follow Jeff, go find him on Facebook and follow him. So I haven't shot a whole bunch, but that sort of leads me to what maybe we'll talk about a little bit after. But I was out in Austin last week, and I was with Jim Nix, and I tell you what, I just cannot go to Austin for some reason and not go to the Pennybacker Bridge. That's what this is called. You have to climb up. I don't know if it's 100 feet or whatever, up some rocky surfaces to get up there. But it's just such a great bridge. And I actually haven't even taken this shot yet at all and put it into Lightroom or Luminar or anything. I still want to do that. This is all straight from the iPad, right straight from the camera to the iPad to Lightroom mobile, just done in the hotel room that night. So what a great shot for a place for live composite, shot with the 12-100, beautiful sunset, Texas sunset. So this was probably less than 20 seconds because it was the traffic was so high. When you pick up the traffic that's coming at you, the white lights, it would just blur out too much if you let it go too long. And, but a great shot, great place to go. If anybody ever wants to know it, I definitely will give them this spot, and show you exactly where it is. And while I'm out there, I can't show you the videos I shot with my Insta360 1X, but I can show you one of the shots that I took from atop that bridge just before the sunset in this tiny planet. And you can see the traffic there going crazy. But right up here, somebody had told me, and so there's a beautiful home. I don't even know if you call it a home, but it's probably a $50 million mansion up here. But somebody told me that was the inventor of Atari lives up there. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll have some people tell me either I'm right or wrong with that one. But so great place, Pennybacker Bridge. They call it the 360 bridge too. Imagine that. So I was pretty excited to shoot 360 on the 360 bridge. But a lot of fun and you can get up on this side, or you can go across the road and get up on this side too. And there's an old sort of dead tree up here that I've caught before going this way. It's a lot of fun to catch those too. Okay, so I went back and this is something that I've been doing, is trying to go back and look at some of the shots that hundreds and hundreds of shots we got from New York, because we've been talking about New York, and this is one of the ones. We were in Washington Square Park which is just full of every kind of person in the world. But it's a great New York picture. I mean, these pigeons just everywhere on this guy, and people would come up, and the pigeons would land on the people, and he just sits there all day long. I could only imagine. I didn't want to get too close, only from the sense of just I was nervous about disease from all these birds, but a really great picture. This is a Pen F with a 17-1.8 on it in there, and the same camera, same setup here, Washington Square Park, with obviously a juggler, performer, but I wanted to get it with as many balls in the air as you could, and pretty neat guy, in front of these old statues and old, things here, really neat. This is one of the shots of the Brooklyn Bridge when we were going across the harbor. Obviously, we were on a boat when we shot this, but I just love all the patterns that continually crisscross on this thing. With all the cables and the wires of the bridge. Just a really cool shot, I thought, and then to get the flag in there. So just a shout out on New York. Like I said, we've got the workshop coming, in June 1st and 2nd. There's info already out there. You can find any of it, either at Magic Mondays, or you can check on my page. It's there on Facebook. But so there's a couple from New York, and I think it stopped sharing. There it goes. Yeah, there it goes. All right. So let's see. Well, we want to talk about creativity. I was going to try to bring up something tonight that absolutely took no photography emphasis at all, except I'm doing it in my mind. I'm doing it for photography. And I think I've told you a little bit about it, but really started over the last now 10 weeks, 11 weeks, working out pretty heavy. Something I didn't do, on and off. But I can explain on another show what I'm doing. We don't have to get into that. That could be a whole show. I'm just trying to get ready, because I wouldn't say I was in a slump, because I was still shooting when I travel. But I've really been doing a lot of work when I travel. I haven't had many nights available to go out and shoot. So in that, I think that one of the things I was sort of getting like lulled out, and I said, I got to get out and shoot, but I also didn't feel that great about doing it. And I always like to feel good the more, I think the better you feel about yourself, the more creative you are.
Sure.
So I definitely know that, really getting on this regimen of working out. I mean, just in that 10 weeks, I think now I'm down to 12 pounds and 2 pant sizes. And I mean, it's just simple things. I haven't even adjusted that much eating yet. And that's what I really need to do. I can really make it happen if I did that. But I think that I'm more excited. I couldn't tell you how excited I am to the break is coming up, and I get that time off between Christmas and New Year's to get out and shoot.
Yeah.
And it's just going to feel good to be able to do that. And then look, when we go out on these workshops, we always talk about, boy, I hope the people can, make all the hiking we do. On the back of my mind going, Mike, you're the same damn age. I don't feel that good either. So I really feel that that's going to help. And anybody, take time for yourself. Don't forget, you got to keep yourself healthy if you're going to keep doing this stuff.
That's right.
So that's all. I mean, it's not a preaching thing. There's no magic to it. You just got to get out and do it, I think. So lots of fun to do it. I see a lot of people talking about it, but I think we're going to have some great workshops next year. And Jamie's promised to not hike any more than 4 miles into the woods.
Yeah.
If you go on Jamie's workshop and he starts handing out machetes, you've probably gone too far.
Well, you see, the bad thing is with the last workshop, we probably should have, but we didn't know we were going to be doing quite like that much.
Yeah.
When your trail map says 0.7 miles, and it's actually 1.7 miles, and it's uphill both ways. You're in trouble. But everybody enjoyed it. So
yeah, and I think we'll try to we'll limit that a little bit in Pittsburgh, because I think we'll be more close to city stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
No, and it's funny too. So before we go, I'm going to let me just pull this up really quick here. Let me find it. So we talk about the workshops, what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to let me do this for those who are in the chat room. and you're probably like, oh my gosh, this is annoying. So if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it yet, I just posted a link to a YouTube video. So this is the video that Vanguard made about the workshop that I did with Mark Miller in the Upper Peninsula. It just kind of shows you a behind the scenes of what it's like on one of these workshops, and just kind of who Mark Miller and I are. And it's the same with Mike. I mean, Mike isn't in this video, but it's the same emotion is there, the same drives, you know, to create and why we do these events. So if you've ever been wondering, you know, why would I go on a workshop, watch that video. I think it really gets to the heart of why they're fun and why you should go on one, even if it's not ours. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not 100% trying to pitch you on ours. Watch it, and then you'll understand why you should go on a workshop. How about that? So
yeah, exactly. I mean, look, it turns out every single time I've done one, and I've done workshops that aren't my workshops. I've done them for myself well before we ever started doing them. And every time we do them, I think you and I both walk away and just say, you know, it really was so much more than about photography.
Oh my God.
Like, we learned so much, and I think you make such great friends.
Yes.
I mean, probably almost everybody I see in here, you know, at least 8 out of 10 in the darn chat room are people that might have been on workshops with us.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You know,
we're preaching to the choir at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. But from the chat room piece, but yeah, people should check that out. And you could drop that link in the notes. So, well, it stays in the chat, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. I'll throw up the notes too as well. But just to answer Bob Panic's question really quickly, a 4x4 Jeep could have gotten us down the road that we drove to one of the locations, but the waterfall that was 1.7 miles back, nothing goes back in feet and motivation. So I guess with that, we could probably close out this episode of Mirrorless Minutes. There will be, it doesn't matter because you actually have watched the whole episode and heard everything, so it doesn't matter to you, but there will be a delay on getting this out. I have to leave like super early for Chicago in the morning and won't be back until evening. So the show audio version probably won't post until tomorrow night. But it doesn't matter because you watched the whole episode. But if you're listening to this, now you know why it took a little bit longer. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.
All right, see you, everybody.
See you guys.